You're telling me that the God you love and admire has consigned us to eternal torture? Then I would say to that God, you created hell, you go to hell.
Wow, what a line! Hey God, go to hell! Hi guys, this is Lucas from Deflate, where we tackle the skeptics' objections to Christianity. And today we're dealing with a particularly hot topic. As you can tell, this gentleman isn't particularly impressed with the idea of hell. So let's hear him out.
If there is a hell, and if the atheists get to the end of their life and discover, yep, I was wrong, there is a God. This is counterfactual. This is not that I actually believe it. Then you are right. I would then believe and know that there's a God, but that does not mean I would respect or admire a God who would create something like a hell to send someone like me to. And my beloved mother, Patsy Barker, who died as an atheist with a smile on her face, happy that she lived a good life raising 3 good boys. That deity is torturing her in hell, and Mark Twain, and George Gershwin, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Aaron Copland, and Johannes Brahms, and Prokofiev, Margaret Sanger, Bertrand Russell, Carl Sagan, wonderful people who lived these lives. You're telling me that the God you love and admire has consigned us to eternal torture? Then I would say to that God, you created hell, you go to hell. If you want to torture me forever, fine. You prove what a big macho man you are. You do not have my respect.
You do not have my respect. Okay, wow. So this man, his name is Dan Barker by the way, obviously doesn't believe in God. But it's not just the case that he rejects the idea of God for purely cognitive reasons. Clearly, he also really dislikes or is emotionally disturbed by the idea of a God who'd torture people in hell, as he puts it. Not only that, but Barker also admits that even if God did exist and he came to meet God at the end of his life, he'd still not respect him, given the fact that there is hell. What this essentially means is that Barker thinks he's morally and intellectually superior to a God who comes up with the idea of eternally torturing people. Here are a couple of things in response. First of all, the idea of hell as a place of eternal conscious torment is not the only way hell is conceptualized in Christian theology. And so a person who is committed to belief in Christianity is not necessarily also committed to the view of hell Barker caricatures here. If Barker isn't aware of those other views, it's, let's say, unfortunate. But if he is, it means that he went off on his rant for rhetorical effect, and not because he actually intended to engage with the question of hell in a serious fashion. Second, there's an interesting thing going on here. God, as viewed in Christianity, is a maximally great being. So if he exists, his intellect and capacity for right moral judgment trump those of Barker. This would be true even if hell is a place of eternal conscious torment. In other words, if God exists and if a hell exists that looks the way Barker portrays it, it would still mean that God's reasons for allowing hell are morally and intellectually superior to Barker's reasons against the existence of such a hell. And yet, Barker is claiming that God is a macho man for whom he has no respect. So what's going on here? Of course, Barker is free to not respect God. But it's hard to avoid the conclusion that when it comes to Barker's disbelief in God, intellectual reasons are not the only thing that play into the equation. It reminds me of the late Thomas Nagel, an atheist philosopher who admitted that it isn't just that I don't believe in God and naturally hope that I'm right in my belief. It's that I hope there is no God. I don't want there to be a God. I don't want the universe to be like that. Nagel is brutally honest about him not only intellectually refusing the idea of God, but also about him simply not liking the idea of God for whatever reasons. I might be wrong, but I think that's exactly what's going on with Barker. Now, I'm not saying that there is anything inherently wrong with people wanting or not wanting something to be true. For most of us, both Christians and atheists, if we're honest, it's the case that we hold our beliefs both because we consider them to be intellectually plausible and because there's an element of us wanting them to be true. The important thing is to be aware of this and to admit it to yourself and to others, as hard as this may be. Check out this video for a fun example of an atheist TikToker being completely unaware of her own presuppositions while arguing against God, which turns out to be fatal for her case. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.